Well, welcome once again to What Do You Believe? I'm Devin Croner, pastor, realtor, husband, father, and I am excited to be bringing you another episode of this series. Humans are an incredible, diverse, and complex group of people, whether it's politics, whether it's religion, whether it's health and fitness, whatever it is, we have a vast array of things that we believe. And I am excited to be able to share with you some perspectives from a number of different people from all ranges of life, all ranges of ideology. And today, I am excited to have with me Patrick Becker. Hi, Patrick. Welcome. Thanks so much for
How's it
being
going, Devin?
here. It's
I'm
good to see
welcome.
you.
Thanks.
You are a former lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir. Yes.
Thank you so much for your service. You have studied business. You've studied obesity prevention. That's fascinating. You live in Arizona, correct?
That is correct as well.
How's the
Yes.
weather over there?
It is beautiful. This is the time of year we all move here for. Spring is beautiful here, but now it's warming up. We had our first 100-degree day this weekend, and it's been 100 plus every day since. So very, very nice.
Kind of humid and rainy here in Kentucky. And then let's see here. You are going to be talking with us a little bit about kind of the wellness, holistic kind of approach to health a little bit. Is that right? Explain what it is
Yep.
you're going to be talking about and give us a little background on you.
Sure. Well, first of all, in addition to my time in the military, I'm also a lifelong eater. I love to eat, and that got me in trouble from time to time, especially throughout my career in the military. And thankfully, toward the end of my military career, I met up with a person who connected me with my current health coach, and not only allowed me to get healthy, but showed me how to help other people. And that's what I've been doing now since I retired from the military in 2017. I've been helping people, keeping myself healthy by helping others get stay healthy, both in body and mind and financially. So
hmm Awesome. And one of the things that I love and appreciate about being connected with you is if you go to your Facebook page, you share success stories. You share about what you do, obviously, but you share some of the funniest stuff as well. Like right now, I'm looking at one that says a old photo of people eating in a restaurant. This picture was taken in 2019. I
yep.
literally about spit water all over my computer when I was looking at that right before jumping on. And so you're kind of helping people not just focus on their body and their transformation, but the mindset and not taking life so seriously. Even talk about that aspect of it.
Well, that's been proven to be a crucial part of it. If you think about it, anything we put in our mouth, we put in our mouth because our mind tells us to. And that's really where the problems start for most people. If you ask anybody who says they're overweight, why are you overweight? Oh, I have too much of this, I eat too much of that. But just the fact that you eat it isn't the problem. The fact is your mind tells you want it. And when you get this part right, the 6 inches between the ears, when that gets right, everything else follows suit. If you think about it, your mind is nothing more than another organ in your body. It works the same as your heart, same as your lungs, same as any other organ in your body. And if you feed and fuel your mind right, not just with what you physically put in your mouth, but what you take in. I was just talking last night on a Zoom with some folks about, we're all on this COVID virus thing now, right? And there's no shortage out there of negative news stories, right? You can turn on any station, go to any website, and they'll tell you how many cases there are and how many deaths there are. But how many of those sites actually tell you how many people have recovered from it? How many of those sites show you stories of the healthcare workers that are that are sacrificing themselves and their time with their families to help other people? And they're not showing you those positive stories. And those are the kind of things that I like to show people. Again, you mentioned on my Facebook page. Yeah, I love the jokes and that helps lighten the mood, because really, if you get into a mode where you just feed yourself the drama and the negativity, you're going to just backward slide, and before you know it, you start feeling like, and this is a phrase my friend uses all the time, that life is happening to you instead of life happening for you. And when you make that small mindset change, which isn't easy, don't get me wrong, it's not just saying a word and it's over. But when you start to live that and you start to really take control and move forward with that, all of a sudden you find other choices become a lot easier, like what you put in your mouth, like how much you go out and exercise, like how you interact with your family, with your kids, with your coworkers. Okay, all of that follows suit, but it all starts right here.
I love that. And I've never, I'm a pastor. Obviously, I teach a lot about the mind and the thought life and focusing on the right things. And I say all the time in my teaching, your life moves in the direction of your dominant thoughts.
Hmm.
But I love what you explained there about your mind being another organ. And I never have really thought about it like that. But, if you want bigger biceps, you work your biceps. If you want, to decrease belly fat, I mean, obviously there's more to it, but, you do things that exercise those core muscles. If you want a healthier heart, you need to eat right and all that, but you need to do the cardiovascular. So what are some things that people can do to exercise their minds?
Well, the first thing that I work with my clients on is the studies have been done and they've proven that you are like the 5 people you hang around with the most. So just think about that for a moment. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Maybe your family, friends, whatever. Before this, obviously, a lot of us spend a lot of time at work. But think about those 5 people, okay? That's what you're going to turn out like, a combination of those 5 people. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that not necessarily are doing what you like to do, but are where you want to be. What kind of people do you want to be around? And that's something we all have control over. A lot of things that happen, especially now in this world, are things that we have very little control over. But who we decide to hang out with, we have definite control over that. So that's the first thing I always say is think about your surroundings and think about, the people, the relationships you have. The other thing, that I always talk about is what I mentioned a few minutes ago is what you feed your mind with. Okay, what kind of visual stimuli, what you listen to. I mean, I'm a big music fan. I love to listen to music. I have music going on in the other room right now. But I make sure that it's music that takes me to a point. A lot of it is I'm an '80s music junkie, but that's that was a great time in my life growing up, and I love to listen to that music because inevitably a song or verse, a lyric will come up, and it'll take me back to a very positive, happy time in my life. So I surround myself in an environment where I know I can be successful, and then from there it's just a matter of the day by day actions, the small actions you take one by one, that again, just like compounding money, you're not going to make a change in your life overnight, but when you make the small changes and you make them consistently day after day, you create healthy patterns, and those healthy patterns eventually become healthy life.
Yes, it's so important again when it comes to, like, again, as a pastor, what I teach. So many people come in to a church environment, for instance, broken, hurting for whatever reason, and they want a complete life transformation like that.
Mhm.
And again, from a spiritual perspective, I always say, that is possible. What I believe as a pastor, but when it comes to the natural things in your life, when it comes to improving your health, improving your relationships, improving your finances, it's not an overnight thing. Even the overnight success stories you hear of,
Right.
that didn't happen overnight. You just don't see all the back end, right?
Well, a great example to what you just said. Okay, let's take the miraculous spiritual uh, experience. The person still had to make the conscious choice to come see you or to go to that church or to go to that meeting, right? And
Mhm.
who did they surround themselves with there? A bunch of like-minded people. So even though you might think it all of a sudden happened, it didn't. There had to be a series of events that led up to it. It had to be a series of conscious decisions by somebody who said, this is where maybe my salvation or where my answer lies. They had to take the steps to go there. So when I work with, I have a lot of health coaches who are pastors, and for that very reason, they say the exact same things that you did. I'm here to inspire people spiritually, but
Mhm.
wow, when I can help them physically and when I can help them emotionally and when I can help them financially, all of a sudden, again, those we call them the equities. All those equities come together, and when you start, when the water rises, all the boats rise. So when you start doing better financially, better mentally, better emotionally, all of a sudden, the fun equity and the relationships, they all rise. They're not independent. They're all connected.
That's exactly right. I love it. I love it. So, help me for somebody who might be watching this, and their life is in that place where they feel stuck. They feel like they're not getting any results. They feel like nothing has worked. I've tried the diet, I've tried the exercise, I've tried going to church, I've tried meditation, I've tried all of this stuff. And maybe I get a little bit of results, but it's kind of like Slim Fast, right? You remember that program? People would get
Did
results,
that.
but what happens is when you come off of the program, you go right back to what you were. You
Right.
slide back into it. So help me with people that maybe are there and they're frustrated because I want my life to be different. I want to feel different. I want to be happier. I want to be healthier, but it's not working. Where do I start?
Well, there's basically two things that I would suggest. The first thing that I would suggest, and as a pastor, you'll probably appreciate this, is you have to admit that you can't do it yourself. You're gonna need help. Okay, and that's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people have pride. A lot of people have ego. Okay, but what I always tell my clients, and I talk to people all the time in that situation, and a lot of times I'll help them map out their goals, and we'll come up with a plan, and I'll say, do you want me to help you? Oh no, I got it. I know what to do. Well, if you knew what to do, we wouldn't be having the conversation. That's the bottom line. So once you realize that and say, hey, I can't be the person I want to be by myself. Okay. None of us got unhealthy by ourselves. So most of us don't get healthy by ourselves either. Again, going back to what I said a few minutes ago, it's all about surrounding yourself with the right people. If you think, I like to use sports analogies all the time. Let's take the greats. Take the Michael Jordans, take the LeBron James, take the Tiger Woods, take whoever you want. Okay, they all had coaches and mentors growing up. None of them were born the sports superstar. They all realized I can learn something from everybody along the way. And
Mhm.
that, when you compile everybody's combined experiences, that's what leads to greatness. That's what leads to that feeling of I can do this. Okay. And you take something from everybody you interact with. And that's what I always say as I say, everybody that comes into my life is either a lesson or a blessing. It's one of the two. I either get a gift from them or I learn something from them. And some people, the gift that you get is when you give them something. Like as a health coach, a lot of people that I interact with, I've had people tell me, oh my gosh, I can walk up a flight of stairs now that I couldn't do 6 months ago, or I can bend over and tie my shoes, or I can play on the floor with my grandkids, or I can go for a walk with my son. We're all home now in the quarantine thing. Those kind of things, that's really what it's about. And again, to me, yes, I might have taught them something or guided them through a journey, but what they give back to me in terms of fulfillment is really beyond. It's beyond words. So
I love it. I love it. Mindset is so important. Back up now a little bit and talk about your journey. How did this start for you? How did you get into this? Because again, that you were military. So what was going on? What happened? And what was your aha moment where you said, "Okay, I've got to do this different."
okay, it's a funny story. I was always a big kid growing up. Okay, I was always called Fat Pat. That was my nickname. And mentally that weighs on you as well. I mean, hearing that all throughout, kids, bullying is not a new thing. Kids, I was in school in the 70s and 80s, and bullying was alive and well then. So all of that combined negativity built up. And when I went through high school, I wasn't morbidly obese, but I was always a heavy kid. I wasn't skinny. And I got to college, and I was walking by the campus one day, and there was a table out there for the ROTC group. And I was like, and I never thought of joining the military before this, but I thought, I joined the Army, I'll get in shape, I'll lose this weight. You see the commercials on TV all the time, right? So I was like, okay. So I signed up thinking I'd get healthy. Well, that didn't happen. I found out that being overweight made it even more difficult to be in the military. I was in the military 28 years. For 26 of those 28 years, I was overweight. Every 6 months, they made you weigh in. Sometimes I made it, sometimes I didn't. And if you didn't make it, there were financial penalties. There were penalties in terms of jobs you couldn't get, promotions you couldn't get, et cetera. So it was pretty stressful. And again, now we're talking, I'm in my 40s, having 40 years of all this working up here. And just one day I was at a weigh-in, and I weighed in and just barely made it. And one of my NCOs, one of my sergeants, came up to me afterwards. She said, "Sir, if you want to lose some weight, you should talk to my mom." And I'm like, "Well, who's your mom?" She said, "My mom's a health coach." And I'm like, "I don't need a health coach. I know what to do." again, going back to my story, I know what to do. I just got to eat better and exercise more, right? She's like, well, you should probably call her. I'm like, all right. So she gave me her number, and I saved it in my phone, because that's what we do now, right? We all save everything on our phone. And I was in the middle of actually, again, doing it myself, because I was training for a half marathon. I figured if I run and do all this exercise, I got to finally lose this weight, right? Well, I was running 30 miles a week. And over the course of 9 months, I lost a total of 3 pounds. That's exactly what I said. I'm like, okay, I got to be doing this wrong. I got to, what's going on? And I was eating healthy. I'd given up my Starbucks. I'd given up sodas. I'd given up fast food, all those things they tell you to quit because that's what puts the weight on. Well, it wasn't working. I was eating a chicken salad every day for lunch and chicken and broccoli for dinner. Healthy food, right? I was eating healthy. But, when I talked to my, who became my health coach eventually, she explained to me that my problem was that I was starving my body. I wasn't eating enough to lose the weight. And I'm like, I got to eat more. She's like, yes, you need to eat more, but you need to eat the right things. Okay. And she gave me this analogy. She said, if you think about it like an automobile, okay, if all you do is put oil in your automobile, you never put any gas, you never change the belts, you never change the battery, what happens to the car? It breaks down, right? But you're putting oil in it all the time. You're doing what you're supposed to. But when you put all the fuels and all the oils and the lubricants, and you take care of it, and you change the air filters and the batteries, then the car runs the way it's supposed to. Your body's the same way. It's just a machine. So I was like, okay, what do I got to do? Well, she actually got me off on a plan where I was eating 6 times a day, which I'd never done in my life. And I was drinking more water than I ever had. And I lost 42 pounds in 11 weeks. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But, again, I had lost weight before. I did the Slim Fast and the Beach Bodies and all the other plans out there, right? And like you said, once you stop the plan, the weight came back. This was different because, one, I never felt hungry, or I never felt like I was depriving myself because I was eating all day. But secondly, I had energy and I had mental awareness, and I was alert, and I slept better. And I was like, wow, this is different. And she explained to me again, because I was focusing on getting my body the right vitamins and minerals, the right fuel. I was putting the right fuel in my body, and I was taking care of it. I wasn't eating 2 or 3 big meals a day. I was spacing them out throughout the day. That's how the body enabled, my body was able to run on a much more even keel instead of the peaks and valleys we all have. We all have that, 2 o'clock crash, right? After lunch, because your body burns all that fuel and it says, okay, I got to rest. Mm-hmm. Well, if you feel your body consistently throughout the day, it idles. It sits there, and it spins in nice idle mode, and you don't have those crashes. So that's basically the fundamentals of our program. Our programs were all designed back at Johns Hopkins University back in the 80s, so they're all scientifically proven. But the best part about them is you get a coach. You get someone to walk the journey with you. Mm-hmm. And again, in the spiritual realm, as you get someone to go talk to and say, hey, what do I got to do, and how does this work? And okay, yeah, I got the physical part, but how do I fix the mental and the emotional part? And we have plenty of tools for our clients. Again, because it's a system, it's not a diet. It's a complete transformation system that allows you to work on all aspects. And as I said, when you put them all together, all the boats rise at once. And again, the cool thing is it's super sustainable. It's easy to do. I've been in maintenance now for about 4 years. I've kept my weight off, and I feel better. I'm 53 now. I feel better at 53 than I felt at 53, just because I have the energy. I'm getting to sleep. And again, it's just exciting that I get to help other people do this every single day.
Yeah. So talk about that aspect of it now. So you're a coach. Mm-hmm. How did you become a coach? And then what do you do as a coach?
Oh, I was super skeptical. I'll tell you that going in. Again, even though I lost all that weight again, I was like, well, it's not going to last. It's going to come back. Well, I lost my weight and I kept it off for a couple of weeks. I was like, okay. And I kept it off for a month, and I was like, okay. I kept it off for 3 months, and I was like, this is kind of weird. I haven't had this before. Kept it off about 6 months. My coach kept checking in with me every month. She'd check in with me to see how I was doing, even though I was quote unquote, at my goal. And at 6 months, I told her, I said, I don't get it. How has this not come back? How have I not gained the weight back? And she explained to me again, couldn't get it through the skull. She explained to me that because I had created healthy habits, I wasn't doing a diet, I had changed my lifestyle, those habits enabled me to continue to stay healthy. And I'm like, all right, how do I show the people to do this? So she grabbed me by the ear and pulled me along and said, okay, let's go. I'll show you how to do it. And and again, that's another cool thing about our programs is we all work on an apprenticeship program. So even a brand new coach would work with me or their coach throughout the plan, learning how to help other people. The plans are all super simple. They're all written out. We have a little coaching guide that we get to, to work with our clients on, but it's super simple to do. And basically, especially if you've done the program like I have, you just show someone else to do exactly what you've done. Again, in the spiritual realm, you studied, you've learned. All you're doing is conveying that knowledge and your experience to somebody else, and that's the exact same thing that we do as a coach. I mean, our typical coaching relationship, we meet with someone who has questions up front. We kind of talk about their goals for a few minutes, figure out what they want to accomplish. We match them with the best plan. And then we basically work with them throughout their first couple of weeks. We're there all the time. We're providing them, phone counseling. We don't necessarily have to meet one-on-one. I have clients all over the country that I help. And, now in this environment, that's cool. We do a lot of Zooms like this and stuff like that. So it's super easy to do. We just walk the path with our clients. Once they get to the goal, we make sure they got the habits down, and they know what's next, because that's really important too. A lot of times people get to their goal and say, okay, I'm done. No, it's just starting now. Now you have to incorporate this and continue to live this way, because if you're done at your goal, then it's a diet, and you're going to gain the weight back, and you're going to go right back. So we make sure that we surround them with like-minded people. As a coach community, every weekday morning we get together for a little bit, on a Zoom like this with coaches from across the country, and we start our day off with a lot of positivity. That's where I get a lot of those funny posts from, by the way, is I get them from some of my other coaches, and they say, oh, I got a good one today. So we put them out there. But it's sharing, it's being part of a community, which we do as humans. That the social distancing thing is difficult on all of us, because naturally as humans, even if you're an introvert, which I considered myself at one time, you still want to be around other people. So it's really important to surround yourself around a supportive community. It all has like-minded goals, and it's going to be positive, and feed you with good stuff. And when you do that, you can't go wrong. That's really the bottom line of it. So coaching is simple. I have coaches that help a couple people, and I have coaches that are building huge coaching businesses. It really depends on what they want. This works great for people that are looking for a second income. That's how I began originally. Is when I retired from the military, I had to have something to replace that income. That's what coaching became for me, was a replacement. Well, now I'm on the verge of replacing my full-time income, because I'm continuing to help a bunch of people and grow my business. So now I'm to the point where I'm going to be able to get rid of my day job pretty soon and do this full time. For me, that's exciting, because it's a heck of a lot more fun than sitting in front of a computer 8 hours a day typing. So that's kind of, where I'm at.
Well, that's cool. And I love so much about what you said, again, because it correlates to what I do as a pastor, trying to help people understand the layers of relationships. And I, again, another thing that I say, my people that come to my church probably get sick of me saying this: isolation leads to defeat. Yep. And what you just talked about is, you've got a coach, but then the coach has a coach, and the coach has a coach, and the coaches have a network. And, we never win when we try and do things alone. You understand that from the military too.
Absolutely.
A soldier rushes into battle all by themselves and expects to be victorious. So when people are, attacking something that involves negative thought patterns, wrong thought patterns, wrong information. I mean, you just said something a few minutes ago about eating. You weren't eating enough. I mean, I remember going through school and being told over and over again, you need to eat more salad, you need to eat more chicken, you need to eat more fish. I'm like, you all don't understand. I'm not over here scarfing down cheeseburgers every time I sit down. Like, I eat the salad, I eat the chicken, I eat the broccoli, but it's a matter of the right stuff. Mm-hmm. And people just don't have the right information a lot of times, right? Mm-hmm. So
that's so true. And I'm so blessed that we have a book called it's called The Habits of Health, is what it's called. It's probably backwards on the screen, but it was written by a New York Times best-selling author who is actually our co-founder and medical director. And it goes through, and this is a pretty thick book. I won't kid you. I mean, it's no Sunday afternoon read, but the idea is it's a great resource book, and we use it a lot of times. And it goes through and it breaks it all down into very simple language. It starts back 10,000 years ago as to how we were all created. Okay, if you think about in caveman times, well, we had one job, was to survive. Okay, and you didn't know where your next meal was coming from. So our bodies were actually designed to store fat and hold it, because it didn't know when your next meal was coming. Well, now we get up, walk to the next room, and there's plenty of food in the refrigerator. We're not worried about finding our next meal. But our bodies weren't designed to walk next door to the refrigerator. Our bodies were designed to store that fat. And it goes through that. And then from there, it just kind of carries through. And it talks about habit creation. It talks about creating a healthy environment. It talks about what's called the 6 macro habits of health. But it goes through it again. It breaks it all down in, into super easy to follow terms. Lots of pictures too for us military guys. But it comes down to it's a very simple system to follow, and it's very simple to teach. And again, once you've been through it yourself, you're like, oh, this is amazing. It works. Finally something that, that is real and that actually has some substance and makes sense to me. It's not, some mysterious black box magic powder, super magic dust thing. It's actually common sense, and I can follow this and make it work.
Mm-hmm. So now, you've already talked about this a little bit, but I want to make sure that we are clear and differentiate the difference between what you're talking about and doing and helping people with versus somebody, you mentioned, for instance, Beachbody, which I'm not trying to knock anybody. Beachbody, that's a system, but it's kind of a very encapsulated system, and you do it or you don't do it. Right. What is different about your methodology, if you will, your approach, versus something like that, or a delicious shake for breakfast, one for lunch, and then a sensible dinner type of program? Those sorts of things. How is what you're doing different besides just having a coach?
Well, there's basically, I'll start with 2 major differences. The first difference, as we talked about a few times already today, is this piece. Okay, those other plans are focused on the physical. They're not focused on anything else. So, as you're doing those programs, and even if you're having success, in the back of your mind, what are you thinking? It's not going to work. It's not going to work long term. I'm going to gain it back, right? So you're setting yourself up for defeat. So no matter how successful you may be along the path, you still reach that one thing that you can't escape, which is the mind. Okay. The other piece is, you mentioned system, and that's a good word. The system has to address not just the current, but it has to address the future. Again, we as humans love to know that we love to have hope. We love to know that, there's a future out there. This thing, what we're all going through right now, we all know, this virus thing is going to end sooner or later. We may not know when, but we know at some point, it's just like the flu. They're going to have a vaccine for it. It might be 6 months, it might be 18 months, who knows, okay? But we're all going to get back out there. We all have that hope. We just have to get through between now and whenever that, that time comes. But it works the same, with this program, is because that you're not just focusing on one element, and again, it's not just the physical. The physical is what brings a lot of people to me and where I start with a lot of people. But I've had a lot of clients that start with me that haven't had a pound to lose. They come to me and say, gosh, I wish I could sleep better. I wish I had more energy. I wish I wasn't so negative all the time. And I start with them instead of the physical. We start with the mental right off the bat. We start dealing with things called like the drama triangle. We talk about how we all get stuck in the drama triangle and how to get out of the drama triangle, more importantly. And again, a lot of times people are like, well, I never thought of it that way. But again, going back to a phrase I used a few minutes ago, my friend likes to say, life happening to you versus life happening for you. The fundamental question to ask, and we've all had bad things happen in our lives, and I've gone through some personal experiences in just the last few months that have been very taxing. But the difference is a year ago I would have said, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening? Now I've said, what can I learn from this? What is this here to teach me? How can I be better in the future because of what's happening now? Because guess what? I got no control over what's happening. I cannot make it go away. But what I can do is choose how I react to that situation, and not how I respond, or how I respond, not how I react. I react just as instinct, but that reaction happens. Then I choose how I respond. Where do I go from here? What's next? And when you ask yourself those kind of questions, all of a sudden you notice, wow, I got a little bit more control over this situation than I might think. Maybe I can't change what happened, but I can change what happens from it. And that really makes all the difference. And again, it all works into, if you want to go back to the physical, it all works into the physical. Whereas, as you're going through our program and, and losing the weight, if that's your goal, you're confident that once you lose it, you're going to keep it off because one, you feel the mindset changing inside yourself, but two, you're surrounding yourself with a bunch of like-minded people and you're seeing everybody else do exactly that. So you have that hope. You know there's a future that that you can walk into.
So when somebody were to use the term holistic approach, I mean, would you say that that's what this is, and kind of define in your mind what holistic is?
Yeah, to me, holistic basically means all of the pieces or all of the parts. Okay, if you're talking in terms of body, I mean, obviously we're talking about the mind, we're talking about the physical body, talking about the heart. You know, the head, the heart, and the gut are the three kind of centers of the body. So you want to incorporate all three of those, in terms of reaching a physical goal. If
Mhm.
you're talking about a machine, it doesn't matter. If you talk about a vehicle, for instance, okay, a vehicle has a whole bunch of different parts in it, right? Well, if your engine isn't running, and you put bad gas in it, well, now you've got systems that aren't working together. Okay, they're not holistically performing. But when you
Mhm.
put the right type of fuel in that machine, and you change the oil and you change the belt, and you take care of the whole system, it then performs the way it should. So
Mhm.
again, you can sit there all day and change the tire, but if it's not if it's the carburetor, not the tire, it doesn't matter how much you change the tire. You have to look at the whole of the system, or the whole of the person. And to me, holistic means mind, body, and soul, as well as spirit, making sure that all of those are becoming transformed is the word that we always use. And again, everybody wants to be better than they are. It's just a matter of a lot of people struggle with, how do I do that? Where do I go? And that's, again, what our, again, the fact that we have this huge community. Maybe if you come to me and say, I'm looking for something, if I'm not, if that's not my forte, or that's not my field of expertise, I got my coach and other people that I can reach out to and say, hey, I'm trying to work with Devin, and he's got this situation. Can you help us? And we team up, again, holistically as a team. We work together to help each component of the team do what it's supposed to do.
I love it. So, how often have you had people come to you and again they say, I want to lose weight or I want to sleep better, and as you dig into it, you find out the problem again is a completely different thing, and what is that like for people to begin to realize that the reason I'm not getting the results, the reason my life isn't changing, is because I'm focused on the wrong thing? Is it usually compartmentalized, or is it
Oh yeah.
usually branched out?
It's almost always focused on one single thing. And when I first talk to somebody, regardless of how I meet them, I ask a lot of questions, and I do a lot of, I mean, I'm talking with you now. I'm talking a lot more now than I ever talk with a client. With a client, I'm asking questions, and it's simple as, the first thing I ask them is, what do you want? And a lot of people think, I want this, I want that. But when you get yourself, when someone asks you and you actually have to verbalize it, then you're like, well, what do I want? I have a board up here with all of my motivational stuff on it. And my why, we call it my why statement, is right here in the middle. Okay. My why statement tells me why I do what I do every day, because
Mhm.
that's what I want. That's how I want to be seen. I just watched a movie last night called 7 Days in Utopia, again, recommended by my health coach.
Mhm.
And it was a very good movie. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. But it basically does exactly that. It takes a guy who was a PGA golfer who had a meltdown, and he finds a mentor, and this mentor works with him not just on his golf game, but he works with him on his mindset, and his spirituality. And when he comes out of this 7 days, all of a sudden he has his why. He knows what his mission is. And toward the end of the movie, I won't give it away, but toward the end of the movie, his mentor asks him, "What do you want written on your epitaph? What do you want people to say about you when you're gone?" And
Mhm.
that's really the question that a lot of people never get asked. What do you want? Well, I want to not get fired from my job today, or I want my kids to behave, or I want to raise whatever. But when you step back and say, what do you really want? Then someone has to say, oh, I don't know. And a lot of times, I'll ask a client that, and there'll be silence on the other end of the phone for
Mhm.
15, 20, 30 seconds, because nobody's really asked them that. And then the next question I ask them stumps them even more. Why do you want that?
Mm.
I don't know. And they think about it. And all of a sudden, now they know what they want. They know why they want it. Then it's just a matter of mapping out, where are we now? Where do we got to go? And,
Mhm.
filling in the blanks. That's the easy part there. That's
Mhm.
the, sequential, we call it the transactional part. That's just, following some simple steps. But really, having someone sit down and think about, what do I want and why do I want it? And when they know
Mhm.
those two things, then we know how to get them from where they are to where they want to be.
Yeah, because it's really hard to get somewhere if you don't know where you're going,
Exactly.
or why you want to be there. Well,
Hmm.
I think this is what I want, but yeah, I find that the same too. Is that a lot of times what people want, I want my marriage to be better. Well, what they really want is, the emotional relief and release that's built up from da 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 da. And when you deal with
Hmm.
that, all of a sudden your marriage starts getting better. All
Yep.
those things. I love it. I love it. So now, switch gears a little bit. Talk a little bit more specifically about you and what you do and how somebody who maybe says, okay, I'm curious, I've got some things that are broken or messed up or not working right in my life, I want to know more. How do they reach you? What's going to happen when they do?
Okay. The easiest way, of course, is on Facebook. Just hit me on Facebook, send me an IM, send me a friend request, whatever, instant message. My phone number is out there as well. I don't care how you reach me. My goal or my mission is to help as many people as I can. So, and really, the process is super simple. Once we connect, we'll do a 15 or 20-minute call where I'll ask some of those questions, the how, the what, and the why questions. Okay. And I'll really find out what a person wants. And then from there, it's a matter of, one, the person has to be ready. Okay. If somebody comes to me and says, oh, I think I want to lose 15 pounds. Okay, that's fine. Okay, but that person's usually isn't really ready. They just would like to use it. It's convenient if they did that. Okay. When I have someone come to me and say, I just came from my doctor and he told me if I don't lose 80 pounds, I'm going to have a heart attack and I'll be dead in a year. That person's ready. They say, they have a why, and it's super simple. And, they're pretty easy to work with as well. But the bottom line is, come to a conversation. That's all I want to do is ask you. And again, I'm not here to sell anything. I'm not worried about how many people I can get. A lot of people that I talk to never sign up with me, but I have people on Facebook all the time that tell me, "Oh, your posts are inspiring. Thank you." That's fine. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying, to enlighten people and to help people, see things a little bit differently. Now, if I can help you, even more so, physically, emotionally, that's awesome. Okay. But the bottom line is, we have a simple discussion. Like I said, these takes about 10, 15, 20 minutes max, depending on questions, but it's really, to help you understand what you want. And then once you know what you want, if I can help you get there, great. Maybe I'm not the right tool. Maybe they need a spiritual, guidance, and I say, hey, you need to go see your pastor or whatever, because that's a lot of times that's where people go, because, it's really, it's that sense of missing. But
Mm-hmm.
it's super simple. We have that quick discussion, and then something I have is a fit for them. I can get them started. Again, it's different for almost everybody depending on what their goals are. But typically, I'll work with someone for a period of time. On the physical part, they'll get down to a goal weight, and while they're getting to that weight, they're learning things like the habits. They're feeling better. They're learning how to employ some of those emotional tools we talked about a few minutes ago, and they notice their marriages are improving. Their kids are all of a sudden less combative because the relationship at home is better. They don't feel as stressed at their job because they realize that some of their coworkers are going to be in the drama triangle 24/7, and they can't control that, but they can control how they respond to it. And they won't bring the work home with them to, again, drag down their marriage, drag down the relationship with the kids, whatever. Again, they start to realize how connected it all really is. And
Yeah.
again, depending on if they want to help others, typically that's what a lot of my clients will do is they'll have their own success, and their friends and family will notice and say, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing?" And
Mm-hmm.
that's how a lot of them become coaches in that point, because their family and friends want to work with someone they know, someone they're
Sure.
comfortable with. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm involved in that because I'm teaching and mentoring that coach as well on how to help other people. And then again, it just continues to kind of grow like that. So.
Mm-hmm. So what you're doing isn't really necessarily about losing weight. It's about changing your life.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, losing weight, and the way Dr. Anderson, our founder, says it is, losing weight is what usually brings people to us because they see some of the before and afters that I put on Facebook and stuff like that. But this company and this program that I'm involved with is really a personal development program. It really helps you be a better person. We use weight loss as kind of the tool. It's kind of it's the entry point, if you will, but it's really more about transforming yourself, making you a better person, and allowing you to have a better, have a better circle, and cast a better shadow, and allow other people to realize, gosh, there is a better way. I mean, our company's name is Optavia, which if you translate it out of Latin, it stands for the optimal way, the best way, and that's really what we're trying to do. It's not lose 20 pounds. It's, how can I be a better person? For a lot of people, it starts with the physical, but again, for some people, it starts up here, and they realize that once they get this going right, things all of a sudden seem better. I sleep better. I have more energy. I feel better. You know, my relationships are improved because they realize that they're a better person now.
Mm-hmm. So it's about finding a way to enjoy the life that you have.
Hmm.
And you get to be a part of that process then with people. How does that make you
Yeah.
feel?
Oh, it's amazing. I was talking last night. Again, I had a Zoom last night with coaches and friends and family across the country, and somebody asked that question, and the answer was, yeah, I get paid as a health coach. A company pays me as a coach, but the real reward on this is when I see that I have positive impact on someone else's life. Again, whether it's being able to play with their grandkids, or make making I had someone tell me once, and this is really funny, that he said, you know what I like most about this? I'm like, what do you like most about this? He goes, I can go to the bathroom and take care of myself. I'm like, really? And he said, I could never do that before because I was so big. And he said,
Wow.
now I can, I don't. And again, that branches out to a lot of other stuff. He felt dependent. He felt, he was a burden on other people. But now he's free because he says, I can take care of myself. I can do this myself now. And that is just so fulfilling, because I look at that person and I say, wow, if him and I hadn't connected through Facebook, if we hadn't connected through Facebook, he'd still be in that same state. He'd still feel like he was a burden, and again, there's a lot of other baggage that comes with that. And when you pile that baggage on top of each other, day after day, month after month, year after year, it's hard to be a positive person. It's hard to be upbeat and friendly when you have all that negativity piling up. But when you find that there's hope, and you find that there's a way to break that chain and a way to intervene, that's really what we do. And that, to me, is really, and again, as a pastor, I'm sure you've had very similar experiences. When you really awaken that person, when that person all of a sudden understands there is a better way, there is a different path that I can take. I'm not my past does not predict my future. Okay,
Right.
the past is just something I can learn from. I have control over my future, and once someone gets that power in their hands, there's no stopping them. And
Mhm.
that, to me, is the best part of being a coach.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely believe it. And I think, in summary, what you're saying you believe is that life can change, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Life can change. I want to, before I let you go, I want to just put this up here again. This is from your Facebook page. I love your stuff, man. I absolutely love this. Coworkers of me. I do want to point out, I am wearing pants. I am
Yeah,
wearing
yeah.
pants.
Okay.
That was after the news story yesterday about the guy on Good Morning America.
See, and we're totally transparent. I got shorts on, so
I loved it. I loved it.
what
Well,
we do. Business on the
thank,
top, casual on the bottom. So.
thank you so much for your time and for sharing so many great just principles and start again. It's all about starting and
Yeah,
deciding that you want to. Not just, I think this is a good idea. I love that you said that, because there are a lot of people that think they want different, but they don't actually want to do anything different yet. But when
right.
you decide, okay, I'm ready, okay, I want to, it's important to have the right people around you and have the right information.
Again, and just ask the question. Reach out to me and let's talk. Maybe you're not ready now. Maybe you're not ready, but maybe you know somebody else who might be. Okay, and I've got lots of resources and stuff that I can get to people that can have them think. And again, some people have to think. I have a lot of clients that talk to me and come back weeks later and say, "Okay, I thought about it. Now I'm ready." And that's
Mhm.
fine. All I want to do is get you thinking about it.
Mhm.
I want you to know, one, that there's hope out there. It doesn't have to be the way it is now. Okay, and two, you have the ability to do it. You may not believe in you may not believe you do, and I don't care if you believe you do. I'll believe enough for both of us to start, but let's get you going. And then once you start seeing that success and getting that feeling, then the belief will transfer. And then at that point, once you believe, you're on fire. There's no
Wow.
stopping you.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. What I'm going to do is, when we actually post this, we're recording it now, and then we'll post
Hmm.
it later on. I'll put a direct link to your Facebook page there
Perfect.
with
Awesome.
the post, so that people can connect with you directly. Patrick, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, your
You're
insight, your
welcome.
information. Bless you, my friend. And everybody who's watching, thank you so much for checking it out. And if you're interested in a specific topic, reach out, let me know. I'd love to find somebody who can talk about something that believes the weird, the interesting, the different, whatever it might be. We want to talk about it all. Patrick, thanks so much again. Have
Awesome.
a great one.
Thanks, Devin. God bless.